Friends and viewer, Nausea, a novel written by Jean-Paul Sartre. Jean-Paul Sartre is a famous French existentialist philosopher. So this Nausea is a novel written by Jean-Paul Sartre, an existentialist philosopher. Jean-Paul Sartre, this was first published in 1938, and although it was the author was first novel and meant is a philosophical tract. Nausea is the story of Antoine Rogentin, a historian living in Beauville, France, begins a diary to help him explain the strange and sickening sensation that have been bothering him for the previous few days. He is not sure what exactly is wrong with him, often doubting if there is any need to keep a diary at all. Nevertheless, a few days later, he is so overcome with what he calls the nausea that he begins to furiously list every insignificant fact, detail, feelings, and impression occurring both inside himself and outside world. He holds a stone, looks at a glass of beer, and tries to touch a soggy piece of paper in the street, each time sensing a worrisome and overwhelming presence. For the past 10 years, Rockin has been researching the Marquis de Robillon, a French aristocrat who lived during the French Revolution. Robillon was originally from Beauville, so Rogentin to moved there to observe, to complete his research and write a book about him. But his feeling of nausea soon extends to his research. Whenever he looks in a mirror, he is not sure if he sees his own face or Rollebon's. He soon loses interest in his work, realizes that he can never understand Rollebon as if he were still alive. Rockentine feels constrained by the past, choosing instead to live in the present. Rockentine begins to understand that his feeling of nausea has something to do with the question of existence. He realizes that he had been using Rollebon and the past in general to justify his own existence, claiming that everyone else he sees is afraid to acknowledge that they exist, focusing on the existence of the object and people. Rockentine discovered that existence precedes essence. Looking at the root of a chestnut trees, he realizes that his perception of the root's essence or its physical characteristics in fact hides the truth of the object existence. The comforting facade of taste, color, smells, weight, and appearance are thus the creation of the observer. Looking through the essence of object, Rockentine is confronted with the bare existence of things. And thus the source of his nausea. Rockentine visited his ex-lover Annie in Paris. He had hoped that they would get back together, but is disappointed to find that they did not communicate very well. He vainly attempts to explain his feeling of nausea to Annie, but she does not understand. They part knowing that they will never see each other again. Back in Beauville, Rockentine resolved to free himself from the past by embracing his existence in the present. He tries to explain his views to the self-taught man, a lonely cafe acquaintance, but he cannot persuade him that human love is just an essence and that there is no purpose to existence, only nothingness. Despite his despair and abandoning his research, Rockentine chooses to move to Paris and write a novel. So, this is the story of Nausea by the French existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. Although existentialism is a primary philosophy, existentialists emphasize artistic creation as a vital aspect of existence. As a result, Sartre often chooses to combine both the finer points of his philosophy and aesthetic concern in plays, short stories, and novels. Unlike the fiction of the famous philosopher Voltaire, Sartre fiction is not allegoric or mythical, but a straightforward outline of his philosophical argument. This reliance on artistic creation to understand oneself become Rockentine's ultimate cure to his nausea. Rather than to give into despair, the inspirational music he hears on a jazz record both convinces him to comfort the bare existence of things, write a novel. The main theme of this novel results from Sartre's belief that existence precedes essence. Rockentine unwittingly differentiate between inanimate object or a being in itself and human consciousness or a being for itself. For example, when he looks at the bartender purple suspenders, he is distraught to find that they appear blue in some places. His feeling of nausea comes from the moment like this when he realizes that he is creating the essence or characteristics of the object he sees. He understands that color is just an idea and purple just an inadequate word to describe something he has never seen before. He concludes that the essence of the object are just comforting facades that hide the unexplainable nakedness of existence. In effect, while studying the roots of a chestnut tree, Rockentine realizes that the root first existed and then he attributes an essence to it by describing it as black. So every discovery that Rockentine makes proceed from his epiphany that existence precedes essence. He thinks that the overwhelming and fearful presence of existence is too much for people to handle, so they ignore and hide it by only perceiving its essence. He recognized the power of a being for itself to choose by its own essence, just as it decides what color an object is because of its choice. So, ladies and gentlemen, this nausea is purely based on the philosophy, existential philosophy of Jean-Paul Sartre. Rockentine is not only deceived himself into thinking that Rolleybone was like him, but he could fully understand himself through the intermediary of a dead man. Rockentine's rejection of the past causes him to embrace his existence in the present. He constantly repeats, I exist, and mocks the people of Beauville who refuse to recognize their own existence. But he recognized that nothingness and empty vacuum but paradoxes make up. So I think this is a marvelous novel, Nausea, by Jean-Paul Sartre. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.